are not here. I will please rise for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, would you call the roll, please? Here.
Alonso. Here. DeMoser.
Here.
Ford.
Present.
Herring. Present.
Here.
Moore. Here. Smith.
Here.
Steelman. Taylor. Warner.
9 present, 3 absent.
Or he is protecting our health by not coming. Session?
Not that I'm aware of.
Meeting.
Rock, paper, scissors.
By saying aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And likewise, we have the minutes of the October work session. Is there a motion to approve? Second?
I'll second.
To those minutes. Saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. And last but not least, you have the September financial report. Is there a motion to approve that?
Second.
Discussion of the September financial report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. This is we have public comment. Is there any comment from the public? State your name and address and limit yourself to 3 minutes as close as possible.
Schwartz. I am a resident of 1021 Church Street, Indiana, Pennsylvania, Ward 3. I have a couple concerns. My father has lived in this town for upwards of 30 years. I'm only 24, therefore I've lived here for 24 years, minus a year where I lived in Florida. I noticed in the 24 years, 23 years, give or take, that I've been living in Indiana, Gompers Avenue has yet to be paved. I can only compare it to what would probably look like a road in a third world country, which is unacceptable. I noticed that, and I only had a little bit of time to do some brief research on the approved 2022 fiscal budget. I noticed a few street names on the borough paving map that appear more than once or twice. I live on Church Street. Technically, that's our legal address. That's been paved 3 times in the past 10 years. School Street's been paved 5 times in the past 10 years. Gompers Avenue has not been paved in the past 10 years. It actually got it's so bad. And when they do make the repairs, they're minor pothole repairs. And there is business on Gompers Avenue. Penn Stan is right there. They drive trucks up and down. The last I heard, the borough's excuse for not paving was because of the heavy truck traffic, which is no excuse underneath that pavement. And I know Luke has a business He doesn't, he's not on Church Street. He's on Church Street, but his property runs along, is that Klondike?
Actually, the back one?
Traffic. At one point in the past couple of years, I can't remember exactly when, my sister was driving her car up Gompers Avenue and her tire fell off of the car. That should be a problem in Indiana, Pennsylvania. I was taking a look at the budget and I noticed in the general category, the minor equipment budget had a 2,250% increase from 2021 to 2022, from $1,000 to $23,500. The planning and zoning minor equipment budget also had a 2,200% increase in their budget. For minor, which I would like to know as a member of the public and a taxpayer, what minor equipment negates that kind of an increase in budget. They went from $1,000 in 2021 to $23,000 in 2022. Now, I am a working class American. I fully support our boys in blue. Thank you, Justin, for all the work you do with the borough. The other thing I noticed about the budget was that the police payroll is upwards of $1.7 million.
I hate to interrupt you. Your 3 minutes, sir.
For the public, can I just finish real quick? It's upwards of $1.7 million, where Indiana is only safer than 26% of US cities. So where money is going, why it's going, where it's going, and why the budget doesn't seem to elaborate enough on the fact that there hasn't been any focus, it seems, on infrastructure where it's needed the most.
It is one of the main topics of our conversation this evening. If you wish to stay, we will be discussing it in detail. Committee reports. Administration Committee, whom is not here again. So we have some rather significant order. To 2. That doesn't need a second because it's coming from a committee. Yes.
Colaszo. DeBowser.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Herring.
Yes.
Kratza.
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes.
Newell.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Steelman.
Yes.
Taylor. 10 yes. 2 no.
Do they count as a no if they're not here?
Next, we have a motion to adopt an ordinance reducing the number of council members serving on borough council from 12 to 8. Of this, any more discussion, because we have had extensive discussion of this. Sorry.
Ron,
Yes.
Colaszo,
Yes.
DeBowser.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Herring.
Yes.
Kratza.
Yes.
Lancaster.
Yes.
Newell.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Steelman. Yes. 10 yes, 2 absent.
Also have a motion to advertise collection fees for delinquent utilities account. explained it in greater detail. I forgot to check that.
That's where basically if you don't pay the borough utilities, Nicole, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Essentially, it was the fees that the collection agency ends up charging the person they collect money from, right? Is that essentially, that's the short version.
Okay. We approved that, I know, at the administration committee. So. A roll call to advertise an ordinance, right? Just to approve an ordinance?
To approve, yes. I forget what we do. We normally.
I think we normally do a roll call.
I would do a roll call because you're spending money.
Well,
You're advertising.
we're
You're
advertising.
spending money to
Okay.
advertise.
all right. So,
Rod,
yes.
Colazo, DeBowser, Ford,
Yes.
Herring,
yes.
Pratza,
Yes.
Lancaster, Noel, Smith, Steelman.
Yes.
10 yes, 2 absent.
The one that we've all been waiting for. Move to advertise the proposed 2023 budget. I skipped one.
Yeah, the
Oh, the non-management pension plan. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
non-management folks have been waiting for it.
Yeah. Is there any discussion of this? Proposed. It brings things in line. All right. This again is an advertising an ordinance, so
Rod,
Colazo, DeBowser,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Herring,
yes.
Pratza,
Yes.
Lancaster,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Steelman. 10 yes, 2 absent.
now we're discussing advertising the proposed 2023 budget and the 2023 tax ordinance, fixing and levying the tax rate on real estate for the calendar year 2023. And that came to everyone as a separate document. Well, the first part of it in the budget did. Is there discussion of this budget? I'm sorry, the budget has already been discussed in committee meetings, which are public meetings.
I'll talk to you afterwards and explain some things and show it to you. Okay.
Find this will be online tonight. This is just a vote to advertise it.
Do we want to just take 2 seconds though? Because you had what, 3 questions, right? There was a change in, I mean, Nicole could probably answer in about 30 seconds, those 3 points. If you want to ask them again, I didn't write them down. I apologize.
Yeah. The one was the paving thing. No, we did for 2023, we did increase our paving budget. And I know Gompers has been on the list. Unfortunately, the way our public works, they prioritize a list. Now, when you mentioned Church Street and the different streets, those are sections of the streets. So I'm sure each section of that street has been, over the 10 years, has been getting paved, but not that section again. So like,
Yeah, it's the entire 1000 block of Gompers Avenue has not been touched, but above the 1000 block has been, like where those apartments go into Gompers Avenue, that's been paved. Up the hill, when you go past 11th Street, that's been paved. That's only a section of what's been paved though, because past that section of Gompers has been paved, but it's not in bad shape. The section that we live on the 1000 block is absolutely atrocious.
we'll bring that to Public Works again.
I think your point is well taken. I think there's a lot of avenues, particularly the smaller ones, that haven't had that much attention. For the last 3 years, we've increased our annual amount that we're able to pave through a variety of things. So And that increase includes being able to do some in-house paving programs where we can pick up like those 1 or 2 blocks that don't necessarily fall into another or bigger one. Gompers has been paved from the, I guess probably the 800 block east, not the west side for probably 10 years. I think you're probably right. So it's certainly on the priority. I think your point is well taken. Yeah, in terms of the budget, there are a couple of those other increases are in the Public Works Department. Some of those are for upgrades of equipment. And so there you'll see from and some of those are but there, if you look at them, those particular expenses that you mentioned are increasing from say $1,000 to $20,000, which is real money. Paving for us costs about $100,000 per mile, so we budget about $250,000. So it is a cost, and we're not, you know, but like I said, there's sort of a moderate increase to sort of be able to increase our capacity by a little bit.
$1,000 to pave. A lot more than about how much does it cost to pave a mile of road in the borough?
$100,000 for a mile. Sorry, it's $200,000 for about a mile
this year.
to this year.
I didn't.
But we actually paved an alleyway this year when they've been neglected. We got Nixon, so I know. So we're trying to get those side streets. And I know you mentioned Church Street, which I recall, what? Yeah, I mean, some of the choices that are made are based on it's cost effective for if you're paving a big north and south street to pave the alleys that go off of that is significantly cheaper than having to pave a road that's not connected whatsoever. And so a lot of the decisions are like, we need to pave this road and then we're paving a couple blocks off of it because it's much more affordable for them to just turn the corner and mill up and pave that section. So
For a curb.
It's also a fine question.
If we're not, if as residents, if we're not allowed to do our own work on a curb, then why doesn't the borough fix curbs? Because
we don't have unlimited funds. I think that's really what it comes down to. Like if we had all the money, we could.
I personally have spent, ever since my mother put me behind a lawnmower, I have spent years cursing at the people who drive onto our front yard in an effort to either avoid oncoming traffic or to deliver something in our front yard that damage our lawnmowers. It's a personal equipment cost. It's a personal cost in general because I have spent my own time and probably my own money either filling those areas in with dirt and planting more grass seed, even putting something there to deter someone from doing such an act. But I've noticed that's not just on Church Street.
I mean, there's curbs that, I mean, we talked about it, but it's just the amount of money that it would take for us to repair everything to the standard of what we would all love to see. It's just.
We have how many miles of road in the borough?
37 miles. 37 miles.
With curves on both sides. And so I think your point is well taken. I mean, everybody agrees with you. But realistically, if we were to pave it and fix all the curves, it would be a significant tax increase. And that's if we cut other places, right? Like if we just got rid of all the things that you listed off in terms of 20 grand.
In a year. I'm not asking for it to happen in 5 years. I'm asking for consideration, and it's because it's.
And so we agree with you. And it's.
I already mentioned that street many times to our public works director.
Right now, it feels like negligence. I'm not for Schwartz to come before this council and ask for Gompers to either be fixed or repaved. And we shouldn't have to ask for it to be maintained in the winter either, because we rely on ruts to get up and down that road, and we can't get into our driveway if the ruts are too deep. Then we have to call the borough to come and plow and throw cinders down, which just damage the paint on our cars. So just another concern too for the winter coming up. Thank you.
if we want to get back to the budget real quick, I mean, if you guys want to look at page 40 and 41, I know everybody has seen their own section of it at the committees. And then, so a brief overview for the revenue, it's a 8.6% increase, and that's with asking for the 0.5 mil increase. And then going down, administration, actually from 2022 to 2023 is a 13% decrease. Building and office is 170% increase. Obviously, when looking at that budget, it's with the capital expense of the $300,000 for the additional cost for the building. The police department is a 2% increase. Code and zoning is a 8.3% increase. Planning department is a 25% decrease. Streets is a 14% increase, and that's with the additional paving expense added on there. Parks is a 2.9% increase, and the Parks Department is a little different than what came to committee because since the committee meeting, we sat down with the union, and due to having some issues with hiring some new staff, we have agreed to increase their starting salary from $15 to $18 with hopes that we get some qualified individuals. But then with the administration or with the code and zoning clerk, the union has agreed, and we negotiated decreasing that position to a clerk's position. So it kind of evens out in the general fund budget. Crossing guards has stayed the same. Insurance is 11% increase due to cost in the workman's comp insurance and liability insurance. We didn't make any changes in the stormwater flood control. The miscellaneous is 155% increase. And again, that's due to putting the cost into for the loan payment for the building. Overall from the ending balance is we come up short about 4%, and that's a deficit of the $268,000, which we will take from the reserve fund.
Thank you. Again, call the roll.
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Herring, Kratza,
Yes.
Lancaster, Newell,
Yes.
Yes.
10 yes, 2 absent.
Size, half mil increase.
We didn't discuss the tax ordinance, which was part of the motion. So we just approved it.
For the advertising.
The ad to advertise it, yes. Okay, so that's been approved. The Citizens Ambulance Agreement. The ambulance agreement is next. We have to create our own ambulance service.
Just of that, the reason for that increase from
Budget. I'd like to know that if we have a heart attack, an ambulance will come. All in favor? This is not an ordinance, right? This is just a,
To an adopt and execute an agreement.
just an adoption agreement. So all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The Administration Committee, we have a motion to based on municipalities' codes of ethics and conduct.
Each year we do a sign up code of ethics with the state, I believe, in January, and I hand it to the financial disclosure.
This is more an agreement of our personal behavior to each other and to staff.
And community.
On community, but this is related mostly to our relationship and how we behave towards staff and each other in meetings, conduct.
This is saying that we'll behave ourselves. Yeah, I'm not sure which one. I think it. Bloomsburg, I think.
Oh, no, Millersville maybe. There was a couple of them.
That happens. Yeah. The document.
Have we seen it before tonight?
It's the second time. We didn't discuss it in that meeting. It was given to us.
It's been on
Put in the
couple months now.
so it's a proposal. It's out there. It doesn't need a second. Somebody wants to make a motion to table it and wait so they can read it more.
It's also far from a chisel and stone, right? If next time we meet, we decide we hate line 3, we can change it. It's not like.
And it's basically, we enforce it upon ourselves. So.
That's right, Justin. Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries. And the last thing from administration. This represents what we did at our last meeting. Community development.
You have the minutes of our October 17th meeting, just a couple of highlights. There's details about light up night and then the weekend that follows it in terms of what's going on downtown in IRMC Park. And so it should be a good evening and a good weekend. The comprehensive plan is entering its public participation phase. We're going to have public participation about that in the coming months. And so we'll try to get that wrapped up early in next year. I think this was announced before, but the BNL Properties litigation, the property was sold, so that litigation has ended. So for the folks that have been on council for a while, that's good news. And then I think just worth noting that Dr. Perry's class is going to do a business inventory of part of Philadelphia Street, which will be I think a help to the community. So that's what I got.
Questions for community development?
Yeah, we met on October 20th, and before I just go over this real quick, I just want to add to there's events coming up. We do have a Veterans Day parade scheduled for this Friday. Okay, we our last meeting, we had an intern at Destiny Bingham, a crim and sociology major at Penn State, who spent the summer here, drove down from State College to talk to the committee and give her impressions of working as an intern with the police force. Her experience, she said, was extremely positive to the point where she's now considering a job as a small town police officer, which is something she hadn't considered beforehand. We did have a lengthy discussion, almost an hour long, on the mid-year police activity report. Discussion included questioning how the police department can best use the data to continue to make positive changes. Data will continue to be gleaned as reports are turned in. And the committee will continue to review updates to see what can be learned and what changes can be made. And the changes, of course, will be part of our process of creating peace, safety, and comfort for the community. If you look under the grant applications, we had 2 that were not awarded. The community-oriented policing services hiring grant and the COPS accreditation project grant. But we did get the Edward Byrne Justice Assistance Grant, which will be used towards the purchase of a new police cruiser. And we're still waiting the determination of the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency Law Enforcement Support Grant. And that's the one Chief Shaw had done to upgrade the radio systems for the entire county so that all the police departments can communicate with each other. Because currently some of the departments in the county cannot communicate with others because of the differences in the type of equipment they have and such, and technology. And that's pretty much it.
Questions for public safety?
We met, let's see, a couple weeks ago. There's obviously always a lot of work that the Public Works Department is doing, and folks can take a look and see some of the more technical aspects. Some of the broader sort of themes we talked about that definitely line up with the priorities that we ended up with on Saturday in terms of stormwater. I wanted to highlight the work that's sort of ongoing. One of those things is down there in the engineer's paving report. The 15th Street Stormwater Project is a sizable project that we've been working on for a bit of time that's starting to move forward. We were under bid. I'm going to move some CBDG money moving there. So that's a particular thing that we're trying to do with stormwater. The Marsh Run cap, that's the full replacement of our sewer system. The timeline for the Marsh Run sewer system, the timeline on that is August 23rd. So folks were wondering when that's happening. That's submitting our new plan, and then I shouldn't say the timeline on completing that. No, the timeline on like beginning a 15-year process and $30 million project starts August 23rd. So we're working with our engineers, Stifler McGraw, to put that together and do a lot of that work. This property, and we said sure, and there's been some discussion of what we do with it. It's not particularly super usable. I think it's been 4 or 5 years. It turns out it's going to be a great spot for our Parks Department to end up with a building. So our Public Works Department thought that was a good idea, so we'll probably come back with a proposal with some money there. But wanted to give you an update on that. That's been something we've talked about. We can use that. I think that was the gist. I mean, there's obviously a ton of work that's happening. There's a little extra on our unfinished business that we didn't actually hit. So folks have any questions on anything particular?
How big the Parks Department building was going to end up being?
No, they wanted a preliminary, like, what do you think? So
it was a real point. Yeah, they'll come back with some proposals. You know, a sizable garage. The property's not that big. It's on a grade, so there's going to be limited amount that we could do.
Like though, so we have to start at step 1 to make sure we're even going to get approval for building a building there. But I don't see it being an issue because. Feel it too, it's not gonna be a, you know, it will bring something to the neighborhood, so.
I don't need that.
Concerns.
All right, so this is sort of the first step in the process and figuring out if it makes sense.
You said over off of First Ave? Is that what you said?
East Avenue.
Thank you.
It's in water? Or is it going east?
Well, no, it's between water and.
Oak and water. You're right. Sorry. It's oak. Oak and water.
If Burns existed there. Anything else for Public Works? Shade tree.
Yeah, we did meet October 24th. Among the things that will be discussed, spring planning for plans for 2023. Suggestions right now are working on the 1000 block of Philadelphia Street and South 7th from Philadelphia to Church Street. Another thing, Bob Cruzan, who was not at the meeting, is working on changes with the ordinances, and he hopes to have them ready by the November meeting. Tree removal plan, there's an inventory list of 118 trees in the borough that are in poor condition, and our arborists and Ryan are working through the list and acting on the ones that need to be removed. And tree pruning was also discussed. There's a need to have the columnar oaks that have been planted along Philadelphia Street in recent years and elm trees on the 900 block of Philadelphia and South 6th Street that need to be professionally pruned or trimmed. And they should be trimmed and pruned in the winter months to help minimize disease and insect issues. So that's what happened in Shade Tree.
Questions for Shade Tree? Nicole?
Take your Saturday mornings. I think it was a very well informative workshop. We're going to put it on the agenda for the work session agenda as any follow-up questions. I think that will be a good place for it to kind of. I really wanted to use that tonight. So. No, yeah, that's my new favorite. Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, so we'll have some more follow-up with it. They plan to get me a report by then, so I'll have a report to submit along with it for work session. An update, I'm going to meet with the department heads tomorrow morning just to get prepared for all the upcoming events, the light up night, the Veterans Day parade. And we haven't had a staff meeting and to review the budget. So if they have any questions, everything seems to be going really well. So.
Nicole, thanks for a great budget process.
Mm-hmm.
They're not always smooth processes.
Mr. President, members of council, as you can tell possibly by my face, the police department is participating again this year in No Shave November event. So officers are permitted to grow facial hair for the month of November for a donation that will be made to a community organization at the end of November. We'll be very public with that donation and the amount of the donation when the end of November reaches. So we don't want anyone in our community to be caught off guard by officers with facial hair. It's not, I'm not planning on having that being the norm, but for a good cause in November, certainly see no problem with that. As Manager Sipa said, we have two major events that are going to be occurring in town in the next 2 weeks. First is Veterans Day. That parade will take place on Friday. The 400 block of Philadelphia Street and a portion of 5th Street will be closed by 10 a.m. for parade staging. The parade will travel west on Philadelphia Street to the courthouse, where it will pause for a moment of silence and taps. That starts at 10:45. community, especially if the weather is nice. Regardless of whether the weather is nice, the turnout is always good for that event. And I just ask everyone to drive slowly through town. Detour route, our standard detour route on Water Street will be in effect. And the roadway of Philadelphia Street between 9th and 4th will be closed for the duration of the parade. On November 18th, we have the It's a Wonderful Life Parade and Festival that begins with a tree lighting at IRMC Park around 6 p.m. Parade starts at 7 p.m. Roadways around Indiana Borough will begin being closed at 5 p.m. So we ask that all members of our community make plans when entering Indiana Borough on Friday to anticipate road closures and detours beginning at 5 p.m. Specifically, Philadelphia Street between 11th and 13th Street will be closed for parade staging starting at 5 p.m. The area of North 7th Street will already be closed as an IRMC Park closure for the Christmas tree lighting. South 7th Street will also be closed as a standard closure for the event in between Gompers Avenue and Philadelphia Street. All roads on Philadelphia Street should anticipate being closed by 7 p.m. until parade end. This parade happens at night. It has several challenges. It's the largest amount of people that we have in downtown Indiana by my eye test every year, especially in a condensed area from 11th Street to 4th Street. Certainly something to be proud of, but it doesn't come without its risks. So we need everybody to be patient, drive slow. And there's generally 5,000 to 10,000 people at that event. I don't think that that's an overestimate of the crowds that are on Philadelphia Street. So to get into town and get out of town, it's going to take time. I'm into town early around 4 o'clock, find a place to park, perhaps the parking garage, and then visit one of our businesses or for lunch or dinner. Stay and enjoy the parade. Be patient. Please every child that you know to stay off of the roadway as the big floats are coming through or the big trucks. I look forward to ending the year on a very positive note. We've had some significant investigations in town, including a crash on Oakland Avenue recently that was a significant event. And we're always praying for the safety of everyone. And we just appreciate our partners at the Citizens Ambulance and the Fire Association. And I just like to conclude my report by echoing that by every optic, Manager Cephas is doing an excellent job. I truly appreciate her partnership. I know it's not stress-free, but she manages it well.
Questions for the chief?
This is probably not a your department question. It's more of a parking question. Are we giving some kind of a parking deal for Wonderful Life Festival? The garage?
Yeah, well, Monday through Friday, it's free from 5 to 7 anyways, it's free parking. But starting on the 18th, there's free parking on Saturdays. That's being donated from First Commonwealth Bank. I just wanted to verify too that the 14th, Monday, IRMC, the tree will be delivered on Monday and set up on Monday the 14th. So IRMC 7th will be closed starting the 14th. So with things being set up starting on the 14th.
Just to clarify what you're talking about with the free parking by the First Commonwealth, that's the bags where they put the decorative bags on the meters. Yeah.
What are you, so we still have.
And early come maybe find a spot in the garage. Are we encouraging that? I guess parking will be free from 5. I know always, right? Always. But are we
5 to 7?
5 to 7. And
You
then
got to pay after 7.
No, you don't have to pay after 7. In the garage, do you?
Yes, in the garage.
Oh,
In the garage, you do.
Okay.
I can talk to Hank maybe on Friday we can spend that.
Yeah, I understand. I don't want to micromanage the parking thing, but I was just wondering if we're running an incentive or something. Our parking rates are really cheap anyway. They're remarkably inexpensive.
$3, I think, or $5 in the past. So
it is a significant,
which is a very good deal for folks coming to a.
This was all discussed at our staff meeting tomorrow morning. So sorry, don't have that information.
If we don't, we still have very, very reasonable parking rates, and people should come down because it'll be cheaper than parking down in Pittsburgh for sure, or anywhere else, even if you have to pay a little bit. And it's okay to pay a little for parking.
He has a bunch of social media and stuff ready to roll on Kyle on that. So.
Okay. Here.
On Tuesday, we are scheduled to have an oral argument in front of Judge Clark regarding the Duncan litigation. So then hopefully after that, we'll get a decision. But otherwise, I mean, that's really all I have for you at this time. It's really the only thing outstanding from a legal perspective at this point.
When did you say, I'm sorry? Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday. Nobody's required to attend. It's the lawyers, and we present our arguments to the judge. As we've talked about, and it's been in the pleadings, the rationale was the pedestrian safety on the curb cutouts on South Fifth. So we will continue to argue that position. And then, it'll be up to the judge. He has a couple different choices. He could remand it back to council for us to take further testimony and kind of start again. Or he could rule in our favor and say, sorry, Heartland. Or he could say, sorry, Borough, and rule in their favor and say, you got to give them the curb cuts. Those are really the three options.
And so one of those will come out of Tuesday? Or you're just, one of these eventually would be?
On Tuesday, I'm sure the judge will write an opinion.
Okay.
But I would anticipate it being within probably 30 to 45 days of Tuesday. So.
I know for a lawyer, that probably feels like right around the corner.
Hey, 30 days in the legal world is fast. So it all depends,
I apologize.
Go ahead.
You're anticipating this being at least potentially the last tort?
I am hoping that the judge does a ruling one way or the other, or right. Okay. But as I said, he could remand it back to us.
Or at least then we would know what the next step was rather than just wondering.
Yeah, we'll know.
Gotcha.
We'll know one way or the other once he rules. So, but that's really all we got on that at this point. My non-solicitor plug, if you watch football, and I'm stealing one of Jen's events, sorry, Jen, you have the opportunity to see probably the best college football quarterback in the country on Saturday. Ooh. This kid from Shepherd University is legitimate. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks at any level. He's like 4 touchdowns away from breaking the all-time touchdowns thrown by a quarterback in college football. Hopefully he doesn't throw any on Saturday and IUP wins, and then they will host an NCAA playoff game. But it's neat to have the conference championship game in Indiana. I'm sure Jen will talk to you about all the different events going on campus and around campus. But if you like football, trust me, come see this game. It will be phenomenal. 3 o'clock at IUP. If you can't come, turn into the radio. I hear they have a really good announcer. Just saying. Jack Benedict, that is.
His sidekick, I don't know.
To say the least.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the solicitor? Okay, Jen, you're up. And Kyle just sent out a copy of the report, so you've all got it.
I know many of you, I did see this past weekend, we hosted the IUP Marching Band's 100th year anniversary. It was actually the 101, but because of COVID, it got bumped a year. But we had over 900 alumni in on campus for the weekend. It was the single largest alumni event in IUP history. So it was really great, extremely positive, wonderful for the university all around. I know morale's been an issue that we've been dealing with here recently, and this definitely went a long way to bringing a lot of that IUP spirit back home. So they debuted a documentary called Sustaining Grace, which is really amazing. It will be available for purchase, and all proceeds go to the marching band. So be on the lookout for that. And we'll be sending out links for the halftime show and the post-game show. In the event that you missed it, it was extremely moving. So if you weren't there, please make sure you take the time to watch because it's well worth it. On October 5th, U.S. Senator Bob Casey visited campus for a small roundtable discussion that was specifically with IUP, with the president, our vice president of university advancement, our director of strategic partnerships, and then our partners at IRMC to talk about rural healthcare workforce and economic needs that we're facing here in Pennsylvania. Leading into that, National Rural Healthcare Day is next week, which is on November 17th. And IUP and IRMC have been partnering on a podcast, and they'll be launching that next week at 3 p.m. They'll have a launch party over at IRMC, so you'll be seeing some more information about that in the news. On November 10th, the IUP Holocaust Remembrance Committee will hold a welcome, they will actually welcome the Holocaust survivor Oscar Singer of Pittsburgh for a presentation from 6 to 7. That's part of our 6 o'clock series. More information is there. It's located in Hadley Union Building. And if you have any questions, you can contact Dr. Philip Shryout for more information. In addition to the Veterans Day Parade on Friday, our IUP Vietnam Veterans alumni have come together to organize a rededication of the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. It's moved from where it was located next to what is the new Kopchak Hall and placed down at Pierce Hall, where the rededication will take place. Interesting piece of information is that IUP was the very first college and/or university in the nation to have a Vietnam Veterans Memorial on its campus. So we have a lot of really amazing alumni coming back for that event. So it is open to the public. If you'd like to attend, it starts at noon and it will run for about an hour. IUP has also selected one of the top public universities in PA by Military Times for its 2022 Best for Vets college list. IUP is only one of only 11 PA universities selected for this listing and is ranked highest on the listing for 4 public universities selected, and more than 1,000 schools were considered for the listing. So we've always been very strong in this area. It's something that we take great pride in, and it's great to see going forward. We just recently announced that IUP will be receiving $2.9 million for the Academy of Culinary Arts. This long-range project comes through the state system capital allocations program with another $18 million projected in future budgets. Future budgets will be considered for approval by the Board of Governors in future years. The 2.9 is going to be used for the design project and specifically the new academic facilities to be sited downtown next to the Fairman Center currently. As Pat mentioned, we'll be taking on Shepherd at 3 p.m. for the PSAC championship. We do have bids in to host NCAA playoff games. If we do advance, there's a lot of crazy factors that go into that decision. So we won't know for sure until Sunday evening. And then also just to share with you, on Friday and Saturday, women's basketball will be playing at home at 7 p.m. There are other teams playing prior to them at 5 p.m. You're welcome to come and check out all those games. So exciting that that season is starting as well. And that is all I have to share tonight. I could share a lot more, but you don't want to hear me talk anymore.
11 PA universities selected. What exactly does that mean? Best college for vets, or best for vets college list. What kind of criteria are they looking at or something like that?
There's a lot of different things that they look at in these rankings. Specifically, I'd have to get the information as far as what all went into that decision. Whether it's marketing and communications or other areas on campus, we're always looking at ways that we can, see how we're measuring up against other universities, whether it's in the state or in the nation. So it's just different ways to show how well we're doing. It also helps us with recruitment and retention of potential students.
Just a comment. I really appreciate the events like what happened with the band. Just reiterate, it brings a lot of people into town, these events. And some of the alumni that came on Saturday hadn't been here in years. And we show very well. This town, this borough shows very well with our downtown and all. And it's a big boon.
Definitely. I would imagine that there was a lot of folks downtown Friday and Saturday.
A lot of the band alumni, they came in Friday night for rehearsals. So obviously they had to sleep somewhere, they had to eat somewhere, both, Friday night, Saturday. So, you know,
We also had Student Affairs and Higher Education celebrated their 50th reunion. We had about 160 in for that. Swimming and diving had an alumni and family kickoff this weekend. Over 100 folks in for that one. So if you tried to get a hotel in Indiana or even down in Blairsville, it wasn't there. So we booked things out pretty well, which is great. And it's great for the community. It is, yeah.
when we talk about these sporting events too, you know, the teams are using hotels, they're eating local foods, their families are coming in. I mean, you know, so there is economic benefit to hosting these events, so. And did anybody else notice at the end of Amazing Grace, it's sprinkled for like, yeah. That was and then the rainbows.
Director who he's phenomenal. We were talking this morning. He said, yeah, we'll save that after our first performance, the skies opened and shed a few tears. And after our second, it smiled with a rainbow. I was like, that's cool.
In the stands because it's very moving.
Like I said, if you have the opportunity to purchase that documentary, they played it at the dinner that night, and not a dry eye, but it's amazing how that song has carried with those folks for.
It's something that IUPs had developed, that version that they play. And on Saturday, the band with alumni was goal line to goal line. It was that big. So the sound was unreal. It was a lot of fun. Elbow.
Similar. So there was an interesting side effect to all of the people being in town that I hope I have a solution for. The travel nurses at IRMC weren't able to find rooms. And so what I was wondering if with events like this, obviously you had a fair idea, right? Obviously you knew when it was going to happen months ago, right? Is there any chance you're going to give me a list of the events you anticipate high levels of turnout? And my wife's a manager at IRMC. I could give it to her and then maybe they could disseminate it to their incoming travel nurses so they know not to wait until the last minute. If that's what happened, I don't mean to say they did. Okay. If they're listening, don't yell at me later. Right. But
potential, and I mean, this would be a topic of discussion with someone other than myself at IUP, but our residence halls that are not at full capacity yet. I mean, we're talking suites with private bathrooms for each bedroom. I think there's opportunity, you know, for us to partner with, say, traveling nurses or in those moments. Exactly. Now, we have had reunion groups that have asked to stay in the new residence halls because they're nothing like they were when they were here. But so I think that's an opportunity too, but most definitely we can share a listing of what we have coming up.
you could email me later or something and we could try to coordinate that, because obviously it's nice and it's fantastic. The community is full, but we also want to make sure that the nurses can do their jobs also. So yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Closing in 1 minute. So if you haven't voted yet, you ain't
You're out of luck.
What's wrong with you?
Sorry to the folks listening.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of meetings since our last meeting. The stormwater meeting, which they had a demonstration by a group in Mercer County that's doing a project similar to what we're proposing for Indiana. This is cooperation between county, borough, White Township, working on stormwater issues. Yesterday, I represented the borough at ICATAC, the Indiana County Active Transportation Advisory Committee. The borough has already finalized our active transportation plan. The county's plan is very similar to that, except that it covers the entire county. Um, this program. And all that stuff is available online. Whole pamphlet. But that's what I've been doing. There's all kinds of exciting things coming up. Mayor.
You know, I focus on public safety, and the other day we had a situation in North H Street, right above Six Hand Bakery, where a worker backed into 23,000 volt electric line. Matter of fact, I was meeting with the chief and the lights blinked and everything. And so right away, the police, the whole department just scattered, got out of there, you know, to go to the scene. And fire department was called, and then citizens ambulance came. And I wanted to mention that because they were here in I don't know, just a few minutes. And the guy's gonna live. I mean, it's amazing because when you bump into something like that, it normally takes you out. But fortunately, they were able to get him to the right places, and they are going to operate on them, I think, in the next day or so. But it just, I guess I like to see it whenever collaboratively, you know, you have the police department, fire department, and citizens ambulance working together, and it was a good scene. We like that.
Yeah. Well, it was quite a boom.
Yeah.
I mean, the noise, I was in a meeting and it was like, what was it? It almost sounded like somebody got shot. It was that loud.
Everybody's part.
Might hopefully pull through then.
Yes.
All right. Is there any old business come before us? Any new business? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Bigger is boom, but
More oomph.
We'll do it like a bucket or something.
Yeah.